Hello everyone. As in the previous session, we talked about the history and the Lean Six Sigma framework, wherein we discussed how Six Sigma as a methodology evolved over a period of time, how different organizations started using Lean Six Sigma, how it actually entered India, and what kind of evolution actually happened through various organizations like Motorola, GE, Toyota, and other organizations. But in today's session, we'll be talking about the variation and the Six Sigma framework. We discussed a lot about the Six Sigma level of quality, 3.4 defects in a million transactions. We talked about that Six Sigma as a methodology focuses on reducing the variation in a process. So we first need to understand what is called a variation, and we need to understand the measure of or the level of quality that we are talking. How do we reach to that level? What is the framework around it? What is the path and journey we need to follow in order to reach the level of quality that we have been discussing here, or we have been talking in our previous session? So as you can see in the slide here, we are talking about what is variation. So in terms of Six Sigma methodology, or if I say in a very general sense, the variation is nothing but customer gives you a requirement, and if we are able to deliver our product or our service within the specified requirements by the customer, then we are good. But the moment we breach those requirements, that is called excess variation. And we need to find and measure that variation which is beyond the specification of the customer. And that variation has to be reduced and brought under the specification by the customer. As you see in the slide, it says there is a lower specification limit, there is an upper specification limit. So for example, let's say we are making a computer screen. A computer screen will have dimensions. Dimension will be the width, the length. If the width and length of the computer screen, customer would have given some requirements. If in the actual manufacturing process, the width and length of the computer screen goes beyond that, that will be a defect and customer will not accept it. You would have seen it a lot of time when in the older days we used to go for stitching of our clothes, of our trousers, of our shirts. Sometimes you will see one hand of a shirt was longer or shorter than the other one, and that is a defect because there are certain dimensions that you provided, but the tailor could not figure it out correctly, and there was some issue. So you say it needs to be altered. Now in today's world, when we go and purchase some clothes, and if they're bigger than our dimension, so we go for a process called alteration process. The alteration process is nothing but trying to meet the requirements with the customer's requirements with the process that we have. So we try to reduce that variation here. So in the slide we are saying higher the sigma, better the process. And higher the sigma would also mean lesser variation in the process. Less variation means less defects, which will also mean a better performance. So we are trying to reduce the variation in a process, so we need to follow a structured methodology. As I said, it's a structured discipline methodology. So here the meaning of a structured and a discipline methodology is a methodology which you see on the screen is called DMAIC, DMAIC. Now there are two methodologies in principle. One methodology that is used heavily to improve the quality or to reduce the defects of an existing process or a product. This methodology is called the DMAIC methodology. DMAIC, which means define, measure, analyze, improve, control, that you see on the screen here. There are 5 phases in it. We'll talk about these 5 phases. There is another methodology which is used primarily to develop a new product or to design a new process from the scratch. It is a part of an umbrella methodology called as Design for Six Sigma. Design for Six Sigma means we want to design a product or a process from the day one in such a way that the quality remains at a level of Six Sigma from the day one. So we are trying to improve the quality from lower level to Six Sigma. We try to achieve the Six Sigma quality from the day one. So it's called designing a new product. And for this we need a different framework. This framework is called as Define for Six Sigma, under which we follow a project management framework called as DMADV that you see on the screen. Define, measure, analyze, design and verify. These are the 5 stages. But the focus of our training program is about the DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, control, because DMAIC is the most widely used, most famous and most common methodology that we shall be using in our entire training program. We shall discuss what is called define, measure, analyze, improve and control. Our entire training program is based on these 5 phases. What are these 5 phases? If you look in the screen, it says define means understanding the customer requirements, customer expectations. Customer will give you a lot of requirements which they would like you to fulfill from a process or a product. However, a lot of these requirements will not be very clear. You have to convert them into something that you can understand. So we want to understand customer requirement, we want to prioritize them, we want to document them. So that's what we do in a define phase. The next phase is the measure phase. As part of a measure phase, now whatever requirements or expectation customer has told us, and as of now we are not able to deliver them, that means there is a problem in our process. How big is that problem? Which means how big is the pain? What is the current state of the process? What is the current quality of the products? That's what we try to understand in the measure phase. Then the third phase comes, called the analyze phase. Whatever problem that we have understood in the measure phase, which we have documented in the define phase, we would like to understand why do we have those problems in a process? Why do we have so much of pain in a process? Why is customer facing so many issues? Why do we have so much complaint from a process? Why we are not delivering the best product for a process? So that why is nothing but finding the root causes of that problem. Once we know the root causes, we move to the next phase called as the improve phase. As part of the improve phase, whatever problem or the root causes we found in the analyze phase, we would like to design a solution that can help a customer. And we will not only design it, we would test and validate, we will do a pilot testing of these solutions, then we'll implement them. Once we implement the solutions, we move to the last phase called as the control phase. Now control phase, however, it is the last phase, but this is a very important, and according to me it's the most important phase. The solutions that we have designed, it should not be such that process goes back to where it was after 2-3 months. Solutions should be able to sustain themselves over a period of time and further evolve. So if we have been able to improve the process quality or a product quality, we should not go back to where we started. We should be able to sustain it and maybe move from there further. We should be able to continuously improve our process or our product quality. So we try to build sustainable solutions. So that's what the entire define, measure, analyze, improve and the control phase focus on in these slides that you see. Now each phase is followed by a review. We call it toll gate review. Toll gate is just like a toll gate on an express highway. You cannot go beyond in an express highway until you pay the toll. Same thing goes here also. In a toll gate review, it is decided should you move to the next phase or not. So it's called go or a no-go decision. So this toll gate review happens at the end of each phase. So we have 5 phases and we have 5 toll gate reviews. Now the important thing about this methodology, which I have been saying, a disciplined methodology, a structured methodology, is you cannot jump a particular phase. If you are in define, you have to move to measure. You cannot take a shortcut and move to analyze. No, that's not allowed. You can't do that. Otherwise, you lose the essence. So that is number one thing we need to remember. Number 2, you cannot start this framework or this methodology the way you want. You cannot start with analyze and move to define. No, you have to follow as it is. You have to start with define, move to measure, analyze. So you have to follow it as it is. Then you get the results, sustainable results that we have been talking. So that's about the that's the introduction of this methodology on which the entire training is based, and in the further sessions we'll talk more about this methodology, more tools and methods that we'll study here. This is Shiven Sharma here. Thank you.